So which is GATE 2016 Metallurgical Engineering question number 23. The question states that for a dye penetrant test, identify the correct statement. Options given are pre and post cleaning of parts are not required. Option B, internal defects can be detected. Option C, surface oxides help in crack identification. And option D, dye with low contact angle is required. So first let us understand what is dye penetrant test is. So dye penetrant test is widely used a non-destructive method to detect surface defects. So why surface defects? Because we apply a liquid which is a dye penetrant a dye on the surface, and this dye penetrates into these surface defects, and we remove the excess material, which I will tell you in further how are the steps, and we are able to predict where the defect lies on the surface. So this is basically a non-destructive method which is based on the capillary action. What do you mean by capillary action? Is like if fluid it will directly penetrate into the defect, and you can easily able to like find out where the defect lies using an ultraviolet light. When we put ultraviolet light over the surface, so this dye will reflect some different color, and you will be able to predict that the crack is present on the surface. So here you can see this is a schematic, and this is the liquid drop which you assume as a dye you are pouring on the surface of the material, and this is the wetting angle. So let's say if the wetting angle is very high, so this, if wetting angle is very high, then the dye won't flow on the surface and it won't penetrate into the defects. So we require as low as wetting angle as possible. So when alpha tends to be 0, good spreading is there on the surface of the material. Hence we require a dye which has a low contact angle. And the steps required in this process are basically, first is pre-cleaning. Let's say the surface is having dust, oil and everything. So if the surface is having these things on it, so it is the dye won't be able to go to the cracks which are beneath this oil and everything. Hence pre-cleaning is required, and dust removal is required. Second, after pre-cleaning, you put this dye or penetrant on the surface, and when you give like sufficient amount of time so that this dye penetrates inside the all the cracks and everything, and then you remove the excess penetrant on the surface. You remove the excess penetrant from the surface and you apply the developer. So developer, what it will do, it will just try to detect from where the dye is not getting removed, and we will be able to know the defect detection. And after that, for we will have post cleaning. So these are the steps involved in dye penetrant test. So now again coming to the options, like option A, pre and post cleaning of parts are not required, which is not correct. It is like a mandatory process in dye penetrant test, so this is incorrect. Internal defects internal defects can be detected, which is wrong, because the dye only can go to the defects which is readily accessible, and internal defects cannot be accessed. C, surface oxides help in crack identification, which is false. Like if the surface is having oxide, so the crack like the dye cannot penetrate the crack, and we were not able to identify the crack which is beneath the surface oxide. And D, dye with low contact angle is required, which is ultimately true. So here the answer is option D.